Back to the Gemara. We are on 42b. 42b3, bottom of the page. Just to get everyone back. Okay, 42b3. This is a continuation of the Gemara that the Gemara had said. Rav Chizda said that you can't place utensils under a hen, under a chicken to catch its egg, but you could go ahead and cover up the egg that it shouldn't break. That was the statement of Rav Chizda. And the way Rashi explains, the same way the Mishnah states, you can't put a utensil under a lamp that's dripping oil. The oil is muktzah because it was designated, was used for the lamp, to burn the lamp. The same way you can't put you can't put a plate underneath to catch the oil, to catch the muktzah, so too you can't put a plate to catch the egg. The egg that the chicken lays on Shabbat is muktzah. But he says you could go ahead and cover up the egg to protect the egg, that no one should step on the egg. So, on the one hand, you can't catch the egg, but you can cover the egg, right? That's what we said, Adam? Right, Asaf? And Rabbah, now the question is, what is the rationale? What is the reason behind Rav Chizda's ruling? So Rabbah explains that what's behind it is that to move a non-muksa item for a mukser item is only permitted if it's a common hatzalah, a common occurrence, a common save, something that happens on a regular basis, in the normal scheme of things, if that's the right wording. And there the rabbi said you can move a non-muksa item for a muksa item. However, something which is not the norm, for instance, a hen laying its egg in a slopey area where you want to go ahead and catch the egg. Generally, you don't need to catch eggs when the animal lays the egg. The egg is just laid on a ready, straight, flat area in a garbage area. That's where they lay the eggs. You don't need to catch. And now you want to move a utensil to catch a muksa, which is not, you're moving a movable item for a non-movable item in a situation where it's not the norm, that the rabbis did not allow. However, if they laid the egg in the normal place, in the dump area where people walk, that's normal. Therefore, you're allowed to move a non-muksa item to cover up the egg. Right? That was the rationale, what he understood the reasoning is. And that's what the Gemara here is going to started challenging this understanding of Rabbah in Rav Chizda's reasoning for his law. So that's what the Gemara, we're going to continue with that point. The Gemara says, now, like we said, 42b3, Eitive. Abaye is going to challenge Rabbah in the following. Notnin kli tachat haneh lekabel nitzotzot. Adam, if you want to say to the group that we're on, we could place a utensil, a movable item, a utensil, a plate, underneath a lamp. The lamp is, let's say, it's dripping, and there's some sparks. You ever see a candle, a Havdalah candle, right? Sometimes you see the sparks coming out. The sparks fall down. So you're allowed to go ahead and place a utensil underneath the lamp that's burning, because maybe sometimes a little bit of the fire spark falls. The cabinet nitzotzot, to catch the nitzotzot, to catch that spark. Even though, so Rashi points out, the nitzotzot, the sparks that's mukseh. You can't handle a spark on Shabbat. Fire, you can't handle fire on Shabbat. Can't touch it. Move a fire on Shabbat. The spark is mukseh. And you're moving a movable item, a non-muksa item, for the purpose of the muksa item, for the purpose of the spark. And it's not normal. The Gemara's understanding that it's not normal, that the Gemara didn't think that it's such a common thing that there should be a spark flying out, and therefore it's not a common save, and yet they allowed you to move something for not a common save. So to that, the Gemara says, it does reach the bar of common. It's common enough that sparks fall out, and therefore you're moving a non-muksa item, plate, to catch a muksa item, the spark, because since that's preventing any damage that will, if you don't put, the tablecloth will get damaged, or whatever the damage that you want to go. Good morning, Simon. You're saving, so that you can go ahead and do because it's common. It's common enough. Now,
why does it matter if it's common or not? Like the original rule is if it's a common thing, you patch it.
right. So the rule is this opinion. We're not going to say that next step it's going to be the law, but this opinion is saying, we stated that the rabbis forbade us from moving certain items on Shabbat. Right? I can't move my computer on Shabbat. I can't move. Now there are circumstances I could move my computer. There are certain type of circumstances, but let's say generally I can't. If I want to just move my, I want my computer over there. Yeah, I like it over there than over here. Not that I need the place. I like the computer to be in its place. I can't move the computer because I want the computer to be back in its place. I left the hammer out, and I just want to. I don't mind leaving it where it is. I mean, it's nothing. I don't need the place where I left the hammer, but I left it on the counter. I don't need that part of the counter, but I just want to move it because I want I want it back in the toolbox. I can't move it. I can't move, right? So I can't move the hammer. I can't move the screwdriver. Certain circumstances, I can move it. If I need the place where the hammer is, the rabbi said I can move the hammer if you need to use the place where the hammer is. Right? Certain things the rabbi said you could move for certain situations. The rabbis, but if I need the place where I left the money on Shabbat, I can't move the money because I need the place where the money is left. That I can't do. Money is a higher level of muksa. It's not a utensil. A utensil that's used for forbidden activity. Good morning. The rabbis allowed me to move the utensil if I need, let's say, the place where the utensil is. I can move it. Technically, it would seem I can move the computer. Right, look, I left the computer on the table, and now he needs to eat. It's Friday night. Technically, he can move the computer, provided that it's not causing anything to go on. This computer, when it's off, it's off. Nothing. I move the computer. I'm not doing anything. Nothing's happening. Just I'm moving a muksa item. The rabbi said for if you need the place, I could go ahead and move the muksa item if it's a utensil. So a utensil, but money I can't. Right? That's what the money I won't be able to move because I need the place. What do I do if I left money on the table? I knock it off in an unusual way, right? There's an allowance by Mukseh called Kalachayad, the back of your hand. If you want to welcome back at it, if you can move it in an unusual fashion. So therefore, really, the rabbis gave us a way out in general by Mukseh. If we have something that's in our way, that's Mukseh, you could get it out of your way, right? Adam, correct? Just
right.
move it in an unusual way. So now that being said, the rabbis were also concerned. There are items that are non-muksa items that this opinion is saying that the rabbis would extend the prohibition, the fence, the safeguard of moving muksa items that you can't do on Shabbat. The rabbi said you even can't move a non-muksa item if it's for the purpose of a muksa item. That's what this opinion says. But that's only if you're moving the non-muksa item in a way that's not common. It's not a common situation. It's not a common need. Meaning, if something is a common situation, what's a common situation? That the chick, we're back in the old country. The hen is laying eggs. And it's laying eggs in an area where we take out our garbage. And it's common that that's where the egg is. And it's common that people walk there. And it's common the egg will be broken. So there the rabbis said, you know what, you could cover, not move the egg. The egg is mukseh if it was laid on Shabbat. It wasn't prepared before Shabbat, but you could cover the egg. You could take a non-muksa item, a plate plate is not muktzah, right, Simon? Plate, you eat with the plate. Nothing wrong with the plate. But I can move a plate because remember, Rabotai, there is a concept. The rabbis don't want you on Shabbat handling everything on Shabbat. Handling just to handle stuff, you're gonna be if you can handle everything, you'll just be busy the whole day handling stuff. Shabbat won't be a day of rest. So the rabbi said, not only can't handle certain these type of items, let's say the thing that wasn't prepared. So therefore, the rabbi said, listen, something that wasn't prepared, you can't move. You can't move. The egg wasn't prepared before Shabbat. It wasn't here. It wasn't there. You can't move that egg on Shabbat. But what about an item that was prepared, a plate? But I want to move the plate for him for an item that was not prepared. I want to move a plate to protect the screwdriver. Can I move the plate to protect the screwdriver? Now the plate is not mukseh, but I'm moving things for what purpose? Not for eating purposes, not for I'm moving it for to help a muksa item, a non-movable item. So this opinion understands I can't do that unless there's a certain criteria that's met, unless it's a common save. If I'm moving a non-muksa item to protect a muksa item which needs that protection on a regular basis, that I could do.
But why the regular basis?
Why the regular?
Like
Why the regular basis? Because maybe the rabbi said this is the normal need. This is a normal situation, and therefore we have to. Maybe they felt it would be too difficult. It would be too difficult for the people, and they didn't want to put that strain on the people to restrict them from protecting something which happens on a regular basis. It's an every Saturday story, Ezra, that there's eggs that are laid on Shabbat, and every Saturday we're gonna have eggs that are gonna be broken if we don't allow you to take a plate and cover the egg. You're not moving the egg; you're just putting it on plate on top of the egg. So that the rabbi said, okay, that was like Mark's point. Where does a loss, preventive loss, come into play? Does it come into play? Doesn't it come into play? So in that situation, it seems that the rabbis took your loss into consideration.
because if it's a consistent loss,
It's a consistent loss, right? Right, but if it's a consistent loss, that type of thing, the rabbi said we can't forbade movement of items to prevent a consistent loss. But if it's not a consistent loss, this is a fluke. The chicken laid its egg on a slopey area. That's not a consistent loss. That doesn't happen. That's a rare story. We don't need to allow you to move a non-muksa item to protect a muksa item when that situation is so rare. It's not a common occurrence. That seems to be what the Gemara was saying, right? That seems to be his understanding of the story. We're going to see later on, it doesn't see, we're going to see that the reason that's going to be given is a different reason of what, not, so we'll stay tuned. So then they just challenged regarding catching the spark, right? What was the Gemara's thinking? Sparks are not common. It's not a common save. And you're going to moving a plate to catch a spark. So we see we could allow you to move something, a non-muksa item, to catch for the purpose of a muksa item, right? Because I'm moving it so the and the Gemara says, you could have said, I mean, you could have made a case that maybe I'm moving the muksa item, I'm not moving it for the spark. I'm moving it I don't want the table to get on fire. I don't want the tablecloth to get ruined. So, but the Gemara is looking at it that that you're still moving it to protect, for the muksa, because you're moving it to catch muksa, and that's not a common thing. So the Gemara says it should be a problem. How could the rabbis allow you to move the non-muksa item to protect the tablecloth from the sparks? From the sparks are not a common situation. So the Gemara says that's also common. Sparks are common enough. And therefore, we allow you to move the plate to catch the spark, so the tablecloth won't get a hole in the tablecloth, but that's a normal situation that the sparks will fall. That's how we could understand the Gemara. So now the Gemara continues in its questioning of Rabba's understanding. So now Mabruk, we're on now 43a. Mem Gimel Amar Aleph, right, Simon? For Eitive. Kofin Ka'ara Alaner. Shelo Yochaz B'Korah. We allow you to take a plate and cover the nair. The nair, let's say you have this, Rashi says you have this, pottery, earthenware plate, and you have let's say you have some candelabra or something burning, and you see that the flame is going a little high, and you have, and the ceiling is not so high, certain level of height, and you don't want it to get on fire. Now, obviously, if there'll be a danger of life, there won't be a question. You could go ahead and cover the fire, so the fire won't hit the beam. But we're talking about cases. There's no danger of life here. It's a financial situation that will happen over here. Seems like a financial loss. What will happen if the beam gets on fire, and everybody's just going to walk out? And let's say it'll ruin the beam, but we're talking about a situation that it's clear that there's nobody that's going to get hurt. There's no question about that. So it's a financial situation that the beam is going to get on fire. And we allow you to go ahead, because if there was an issue of danger, there's no question. Of course, you can you can cover the fire, right? Because there's danger. By the way, today's day and age, everyone knows the statement "pikuach nefesh," danger of life. But I will tell you, I think I hear people use it very freely. Like everything is pikuach nefesh. You know what I'm saying? Everything people say is a danger of life. Not everything is a danger of life. You know what I'm saying? I think sometimes that might be loosely used. You know what I'm saying? It's not somebody told me that, like for instance, okay, whatever the case was. So, but that's the bottom line. We need to be aware that what's called danger of life, what's not called danger of life. But here, it's obvious there's no danger to life. You want to cover the fire. The fire is mukseh, right? A flame is mukseh. You can't handle a flame. You're not allowed to touch it. You can't move a flame on Shabbat, right? You might extinguish a flame. It's not. It's prohibited to handle a flame on Shabbat, right, Simon? So you can't handle the flame. So it says you could cover up the flame in order that it shouldn't hit the beam. So the Gemara is understanding that's not a normal situation. Is that a normal situation that you're afraid of the beam getting caught on fire? If you light a candelabra here before Shabbat, the beam is going to get on fire. It's not normal that the fire is going to. So whatever the case is talking about, it's a situation that it's not the common situation. Maybe it's a situation that the flame went very high for some reason. And the flame went very high for some reason. We say you're allowed to cover that flame. So the Gemara is asking, but that's not a normal safe. That's not the normal situation. So we're allowing you to move a plate, a non-muksa item, for a muksa item, protecting this, to cover the fire, even though it's not a common safe. That's the Gemara's question. And the Gemara answers, you know what? It is a common safe. You know why it's a common safe? We're talking about these houses that have very low ceilings. Extremely low ceilings. So those houses, very extremely low ceilings, it is a common situation that you need to go ahead and protect that flame and cover that flame so it shouldn't come in contact with the roof, with the ceiling. So I guess what the Gemara says, but they gechini, low homes, low ceilings, The shchiach budeleka, that's common to have a fire, just like when people on Hanukkah, if people put a menorah near curtains, that's a common save. Because that's a not that because if there's curtains nearby, the fire could get. I think I'm calling it a common save. I'm not sure if exactly it's common that the curtain will get on fire, but we've know too many. We know it's very probable, right? That if you put a fire near a curtain, right, it's going to get on fire. So here we're talking about that the ceiling was low, and therefore it's a common save. V'chein Korah, the Gemara continues its questioning. V'chein Korah shenishbara. You have a beam, and the beam broke. Okay, so what do? Somchanota, you could now you want to keep the beam. Now the beam is a building material, right? It's part of the building. You can't take beams off on Shabbat. You can't move beams on Shabbat. That will be that will be a prohibited movement on Shabbat. Take a beam from a building and move it. And I could go ahead. Oh, very good, very good, so, very good. So you have to say, you have to say, we could go ahead. Let's say we could go. Maybe either you could say you don't need to be. You could go to another room. You could stay in another room. You don't have to go. You don't have to go into that room on Shabbat. You have multi rooms. Oh yeah, go. You could go to another place. Go to your friend's house for Shabbat, or whatever the situation. It's not. You have to say what Simon said. Not that if it's afraid. If you're afraid that if you're going to be in that room and collapse, then a pekuach nefesh. Then I'm moving an item to protect safety. But it's not because who says I have to be in that room. You stay out of the room. There's no danger. The beam falls down. No one's getting hurt. If you know, we said lock the door. No one come in. Take the key, Simon, and lock it. Then put the key away. No one could go in.
So if the roof were to fall down, at least no one's in there.
No one's in there. So
it's not
because of nefesh. We have to because right. It's not saving life. I'll just let the house break. I mean, let the house break. Let the beam already broke. So whatever the beam is holding up the ceiling, right? So what will happen? Maybe the ceiling will fall down. Okay, and it's fascinating, right? The Gemara seems not so concerned about the financial loss, right? But we allow you to do it not because of the financial loss, right? The Gemara doesn't answer. Okay, you know why you can move the non-muksa item. What do? You take your couch and or the poles of your bed, and you move it to hold up the to hold up the broken beam. So the Gemara should say, you know why you're allowed to do that? Because you're saving money. You're saving loss. The Gemara is not saying that. That's not the allowance because of saving money. Yes.
But the Gemara does give if something's common.
Right.
That's what doesn't make sense to me.
Right. Very good. A common save, meaning if we could say that this situation is a common save, meaning it's a common situation that beams break, and therefore it's normal for me to go ahead and have the situation. So then the Gemara, then the Gemara say no problem, I could save it. But if it's not the normal thing that a beam breaks, so this is not so now I'm saving something which is not a common save.
But I don't understand because I thought the whole point of allowing you to make a common save is that it's going to cause a large amount of property damage that doesn't happen regularly. So at the end of the day, it still comes. The common save rule is really still about protecting massive.
Protecting loss, but only if the situation at least according to this opinion, it's only if this is the normal occurrence that you'd have to protect.
But I don't understand that as a condition. If something normal, wouldn't it be preventable? You know what I mean? Like if you have like an animal that's normally hurting other people's animals, right? You'd be liable.
Right.
For this. So it's like
right. So let's give the example. The sparks are not are common, the Gemara says. So what do you, so maybe it's not preventable. It's not, I can't prevent the sparks from flying. Or I can't go ahead and if I have a new barrel, I can't on top of my roof of and I had tevel non-type food in it. It's new barrels crack, so it's not preventable.
But if you know that it's normal that it cracks, you can't prevent the crack, but you can put in a regular solution, right? Whereas I'm more sympathetic to the irregular. You know it's going to crack, or you know the sparks are going to come. You're in a better position to put something there to do before Shabbat what you are going to end up doing on Shabbat. Whereas for something that's unusual, I understand the need for an allowance because you can't predict it. That's what I'm thinking, you know?
Okay, right. Okay. So I think we're going to see. Maybe we're going to see another approach to this Gemara, which maybe will Adam would be more in line. We'll see if we'll Adam. Okay. So this approach is saying what we're saying until now, a common save. So Adam's bringing up the point, but you know what? If it's a common situation, why couldn't you prevent it before Shabbat? Maybe the Gemara is holding. Not everybody is always on top of their game to protect the common save. Meaning, we don't have to ask of the person before, or maybe we don't need to ask of the person before Shabbat to do certain things before Shabbat to prevent the common, if it's a common situation, the same, even though he could have maybe done it before Shabbat, he could have placed the plate there before Shabbat to catch a spark, but that we're not asking that of him. We're not asking if a guy have the new. What do you want the guy would do with the new barrel? It might crack. What should he do? He needs to use a barrel. He needs to use a barrel. So he has the barrel. The barrel cracks. They have to put a utensil underneath to catch the food. So we didn't ask of him to go so far before Shabbat to set up the play in a way that it won't come to have to do the common save. Maybe the Gemara is understanding that we didn't ask. Let's say that again, the low ceiling. It's a low ceiling. Now, why couldn't he have put the thing to cover the fire before Shabbat? Maybe he could have, but we're not asking that of him. If this is the common situation, we allow you to move things the same way you can move. You want to eat, you can use a plate. So this is like a normal in a situation. Maybe they don't ask so much of the guy. That's one approach. Maybe perhaps to answer where you're coming. But there is a different approach in this. Good morning, Solomon. There's another approach. Let's see. Another approach. Okay, we have to look at, yeah. The other approach is that, let's say the story of putting a utensil under when the oil drips, when oil drips, it's very common. And it's morning, good to see you. When the oil drips, it's very common that people will go ahead and will put something there before Shabbat to make sure to catch the oil. And therefore, it's not common that a person will forget to place a plate underneath a lamp to catch the oil. If it's a common thing that the oil will drip. Joe, we're discussing on Shabbat the issues of mukseh. There's certain things I can't move. I can't move a hammer, a computer. Certain things, there are certain surfaces we can move it. And then the Gemara is discussing extending. Can I move a movable item for a non-movable item for the purpose of a non-movable item? Can I move? So here's the case. The case of the oil of the Mishnah. If you have a lamp, a menorah, right? You have a menorah burning. So what do you have in the menorah? You have oil. I'm not talking about a candle menorah. You have an oil menorah. You have oil. You have a wick, and you have a flame. Correct? On Shabbat, I can't move that menorah on Shabbat, right? Why? Because the fire might go out if I move it. And also we have a rule, once it was I couldn't move it when Shabbat entered. Even if the fire goes out, I also still can't move that lamp, that menorah. Now the menorah is dripping oil. The oil that's in that menorah that has the wick in it, that oil is mukseh. I can't, even if the fire goes out, can I take that oil and use it for personal use? No, it's designated to burn. It's burning oil. It's not cooking oil. It's not my dressing oil. And now, so on Shabbat, the oil is dripping down. The Mishnah says I cannot put a plate to catch the oil. I can't put a plate. The plate is not mukseh. But I can't take a plate from the closet, which I eat on, and put it underneath the menorah to catch the oil. Why not? So I'm moving a non-muksa item, a plate, for the purpose of a muksa for the oil. And I can't do that. Now the question is, why not? So some explain that the common thing is it's normal for people to put a plate underneath a menorah to catch the oil. People do that before Shabbat. It's very rare that people forget to put the plate. Since it's very rare to forget to put the plate, the rabbis did not allow you to put the plate there to make this, to catch this oil when it's generally not necessary. If you can, something you usually do before Shabbat. So if it's not a common thing, if it's a common thing that you need to do this on Shabbat, if you need to go ahead and put the plate there and you could not have done it before Shabbat, this is going with Adam's idea. Could I have prevented it before Shabbat? Could not prevent it? Is it normal for me to need to move a plate to catch oil? Usually I'll move it before Shabbat. I could do it before Shabbat, and usually that's how I do it. So that type of save is not a common save. So to that, the Gemara says, okay, the same idea, a spark. Why am I allowed to go ahead and move? I can move a plate, the Gemara says, to catch a spark. Isn't it? Shouldn't I have put the plate there? I can move a plate to catch the spark. I'm not moving the spark, Joe. I'm moving a plate. I don't want the tablecloth to get a hole in the tablecloth. I can move a plate. If the sparks are coming down I can catch the spark. But Adam, the Gemara is saying, shouldn't I have put the plate there before Shabbat? Why am I allowed to move the plate to catch the spark? That's what the Gemara is asking. The same way you tell me you should have put the plate there to catch the oil, and therefore we're not going to allow you on Shabbat to put the plate to catch the oil. So why are we allowing you to put the plate to catch the spark? That's the Gemara's question. You should have done it before Shabbat. The norm is to put the plate there before Shabbat. So to that, the Gemara says that it's not everybody. It's not as common that people are concerned that a spark is going to fall. That people will put it there before Shabbat because maybe the spark is going to fall. And being that it's not as common, you can't hold it against the guy. So if the guy did not put the plate before Shabbat to catch the spark, he could put the plate on Shabbat because it's not negligence, like you said. He could. It's not so common. It's not that people are so concerned that of the spark before Shabbat, and therefore you can't hold it against the guy. It's normal to put it there before Shabbat. We're not going to allow you to move the plate to catch the spark. It's not that level of norm that people put the plate before Shabbat that you're going to say that therefore he can't put the plate on Shabbat. Right, right. Or you can't hold it against the guy. If something that you can hold against the guy, he should. If it's commonly done, before Shabbat, if he should have done it, then he's not. We're not going to allow him to do it.
Um,
Right.
Also, one that's not commonly fixed before.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Have a great day. Just like the egg gives the hen gives birth to the egg. I couldn't have done anything before Shabbat. But if I use if
other than eating food.
thank you. So that's a good question. Because if I have a regular plate, you want to use a plate, you want to
move it.
Yeah.
It's muktzeh.
yeah, but if you want to move a plate that you eat on, you want to cut, you want to hold down it. It's
You want to hold down a paper.
you can
It's a
move the
paper
plate.
weight.
Once you can move the plate for food, you can move it to hold down
Hold that.
to hold down the napkin from flying away.
Even if different usage.
Even different usage. Even not for food. Check it up, Joe.
We have different rules in Betsal.
Very good. Very good.
Crazy that bitch.
Very amazing. Have a great day. Thank you for joining, Joe.
I'll take the.
Thank you very much.
Hey, man.